So I just had a delivery of some new art supplies from Jackson's Art, and I did that order online. They've got loads of great stuff on there, so if you need any art supplies I'd recommend them. So I ordered them on Saturday afternoon, and today is Friday. So even during the pandemic and the lockdown, they were estimating it might take 14 days for it to get delivered. So it's got here quicker than I expected it, so that's good. Right, so really excited to get into this box and see all the lovely supplies that I've got to work with. So I got quite a lot of new things in this order for me to try out. So, got this Daniel Smith transparent watercolor ground. So this is for me to put on different surfaces. So I've got some wooden panels already, and I've got one more in this order as well, and I'm hoping that this ground, it's transparent, this one, is going to allow me to do some nice watercolours and keep this wood grain as well at the same time. I also got some white, so titanium white Daniel Smith watercolour ground as well, and so I can try the same thing out. So these are designed so you can create a paintable surface for watercolour. So you can even use this, it says, on glass, plastic and metal, but you'll have to abrade those before you apply the ground. So you can apply it to canvas, paper, plaster and hardboard. And you can, I think, give that a sand down if you want it to be smoother. So that's going to be really interesting to experiment with those, see what watercolour effects those give us on different surfaces. But I really love the texture of the wood on these wooden plywood panels. So I wanted to try this out with my work. So this is one of Jackson Art's own plywood panels. So I've got another couple that came from Hobbycraft, the art shop in the UK. So this is a 10 by 10 inch plywood panel, and it's with bracing. So the bracing is this thick wooden kind of frame around the back to stabilise it, so it's stuck to that on the back. And you can get, they're called floater frames, so you can get those on Jackson's as well, and you might be able to get them on Amazon or other places as well. But they are frames that you can pop these in. So floater frames are the sort of frames that you get for canvases as well, that mean you don't need glass on the front, and these just kind of sit in them, and the frame, there's a little kind of gap around them, and then the frame comes around there. So it's a different kind of presentation for your artwork, which I've not tried yet. So this wooden panel, made from light sanded plywood, beautifully smooth and size, ready to paint on with water-based paint, or can be primed for use with oil paint. So it says to prevent warping of the wood, don't saturate with water until the surface has been sealed. So you can apply an acrylic gesso primer to seal the wood in, and if you're doing that, it says not to thin that with water. So that's good to know. So this is another medium, another base for me to try out. Okay, so that's the wooden board and my watercolour grounds. So I also got some Aqua board. So I got a small Aqua board sample set, so this Aqua board is made by Ampersand, and at an art fair 2 years ago I got a set of sample set of small boards of different types from them. So this was, I think it's 5 by 7 inches. This was the Aqua board, and you can see it's kind of got a slight grain, and you can sand it, if you see there, or if you kind of rub into there, to get that kind of worn texture there, and it allows you to paint over the top. It's more absorbent than normal paper, and it makes it a little bit harder to get sort of soft areas of watercolour flowing into each other. It's more kind of definite edges, but you can still, you know, if you wet the board, get it to spread. But it tends to, it does tend to give you these kind of more definite kind of areas of colour. So that was my first use of the Aqua board, but I really liked it and I wanted to try it out on my portrait that I'm going to be doing. So that was the small Aqua board. So I got a couple more. They are quite expensive. I think they come from America, the company. So that might be why they're quite expensive in this country. So I got a 8 by 10 inch Aqua board, so a little bit smaller than A4 size. So you might be able to see that texture on there. So that's what I'm kind of thinking, that the Watercolor Ground by Daniel Smith might give me a similar kind of surface to this. So we'll see. And it's a thin board that I got. I think it's 2.2 millimeters. It might be. I can't remember. 3 millimeters. Okay. So that is that. I also got an Aqua board which has the bracing behind it, so it's got that lovely frame to keep it more stable, more sturdy, and to fit into the frame easier. So these panels, the surface on them is actually kind of a clay surface, and it says it's a clay coated panel that absorbs water like a fine paper. It's acid free and archival, which is good to know. You can endlessly glaze and lift to underlying colours or back to white, is what it says. And the wood is from FSC certifiable sustainable US forest products. It also says, which is what I did with my practice piece, they suggest applying water to the whole surface first to release any trapped air in that clay surface before you start painting, as visible air can be seen to be releasing. So once that air has stopped releasing out of the surface, you can apply your watercolours. I can't say that I really saw that in the board when I was using it, but I put the water on first anyway, just in case. Maybe with bigger boards, or maybe it does it more or less, depending on your surface. So that's quite a nice big board, 11 by 14. So that might be nice to do my portrait on there. I also got some Clayboard. So I also really want to do some more drawings, some more sketches with pencil and charcoal. And with this board, It's got a really smooth texture to it. It says you can use any media with this, you can scratch into it and erase and rework it easily, so you can use sort of sandpaper or wire wool there, I think they're using. So this is Clayboard, so 11 by 14 again, and that again is the Clayboard attached to the wooden frame. So the Clayboard, I've not tried it yet. It says it's absorbent, velvet smooth, clay coated panel, acid free and archival again, so that's good for the longevity of your artwork. You can scratch through the paint and ink to create unique textures and details, great for mounting photos, fabrics and prints, good for ink, gouache, egg tempera, acrylic, airbrush, collage, photo transfers, pencil, casing and mixed media. And it says to seal and frame without glass. So, the same goes for the Aqua board. It suggests to seal in your artwork. So I also got some matte varnish to seal the artwork in. So when you're using a varnish, I'd suggest testing it out on a practice piece first, just to see how it works and check that it's not going to cause any discoloration or unwanted effects on your artwork first. So this is a low odour water-based matte varnish, so I don't tend to like a kind of glossy varnish usually. So this is a permanent varnish. It contains UV protection, so it's not going to yellow your artwork over time. So that's that. So I really love the Daniel Smith watercolours, so I also took the opportunity to just grab another small tube of their watercolour paint. So it was the Hooker's Green colour, Daniel Smith Extra Fine Watercolour, so that was 5mm. It's fairly expensive watercolour paint, but it's really good. Lovely rich pigment and granulation, depending on the watercolour that you choose. And I just wanted some more lovely greens to use, so it's, I don't know if you can see, kind of an emerald green, good green to have in your kit. And the last thing, something that I've been wanting for ages, is, let me put them in the packet together. I forgot I got 2 brushes. So I got a scrubber brush for watercolour, so you can, it's a bit of a firmer brush, so you can take out some of the paint and lighten it up in areas. So I got the smaller one of those that they had on the website. But this is the paintbrush that I'm more excited about. So I've been recommended these by another artist, so Da Vinci Mix B 438 series paintbrushes. So this is the 0 size brush for watercolour. And I tried one out, so I tried one of theirs out. They're really expensive, so I just got the smaller one first just to try it out, but from what I remember it was really nice to use, and it's a mix of natural hairs plus synthetic. So I did try a natural hair watercolour brush, but I found it soaked up too much water, and it didn't put enough out on the paper as I would like. And then the other way around, synthetic, I find really nice. So those are the ones I tend to use more often. But they don't hold a lot of water, so you can't, again, put a lot down. So this is a mixture, so it's the mix B, I think, part of it means it's got a mixture of the synthetic and the natural fibres in there. So it should do a good job at providing enough water, and the synthetic hairs should mean that it keeps to this nice point on there and spring back to that shape afterwards, which is again another thing that I like about synthetic brushes. So really excited to try that out on my watercolour work. And that is everything from this order. But really impressed with the speed of delivery and really looking forward to trying out my different art products. Okay, so thanks for watching everyone. Hope you enjoyed this and learned something about these different products. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!